lesson we'll be discussing random samples. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to generate a random sample and use it to make a prediction, and answer questions about the total population based on the random sample. So random sample means each object has an equal chance of being selected, sort of like the lottery. We use the sample of the total populations to make predictions, and the bigger the sample, the more representative it is. So when we use a random sample to represent the total, we have to identify the total in our sample population. We can set up the proportion, part of the sample to whole of the sample equals part of the total to whole of the total, or we can use a percent to find the total. So we would set it up as part of the sample over whole, just divide those to get the percent, and then multiply that by the total. So if we had the question, how many people eat a Big Mac in Sugar Land each year, we would first have to get a random sample. So maybe we took 100 people and we asked them if they ate Big Macs, and we found out that 20 people do. Then we want to find out, of the 150,000 people that live in Sugar Land, how many of those people eat Big Macs. So we'll cross multiply. We'll get 100x equals 3 million. Divide both sides by 100, and we would say x equals 30,000. Which means 30,000 people out of the 150 that live in Sugar Land eat Big Macs every year. Another way to find the answer, that same answer, is we take our random sample of 20 people eating Big Macs out of 100, we divide it to get 20%, and we multiply that by the 150,000, and it gets us the same 30,000 people eating Big Macs in Sugar Land every year. So an example is Joe owns 10 pizzerias in different parts of town. He analyzed a random sample from 3 restaurants to determine what portion of his customers ordered pepperoni pizza. Each restaurant had a total of 600 orders. So in the North restaurant, we see that he sampled 200 people and 80 of them ordered pepperoni pizza. So I take my 80 out of 200 that ordered pepperoni, and we multiply it by x over 600, which is my total population. Cross multiply and find out that of the 600, he would expect 240 to order pepperoni. In the South restaurant, he only sampled 100 people, and 50 of them ordered pepperoni pizza. So 50 out of 100 equals x over 600. We cross multiply, and based on the South restaurant, he expects out of 600 people, 300 of them to order pepperoni pizza. In the East restaurant, he only sampled 50 people, and 30 of them ordered pepperoni pizza. So we multiply that by x over 600, cross multiply, and we get x equals 360. So in the East restaurant, he would expect 360 out of the 600 people to order pepperoni. So of these 3 restaurants, which one's the most reliable? Well, the North is the most reliable because he sampled the most people. So that is one he should use if he wanted it to collect data. On Super Bowl Sunday, of the 27.8 million people in Texas, how many people are watching the game? Well, to find that out, we have a random sample of people in Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. This is the population of those 3 cities, and this is how many people are watching the game. So the total population in Texas is 27,800,000. In our sample population, we have 5,100,000. Of the people watching the Super Bowl, we got 1,530,000 people. In these 3 cities, with a total population of 5,100,000, 1,530,000 are watching the game. But remember, our question is how many in Texas are watching the game. So we can set up this 1,530,000 out of 5,100,000 are watching the game in these 3 cities. So that's 30% of people in those cities are watching the game. So we can just take that 30% times the 27,800,000 people in Texas, and we would say that about 8,340,000 people are watching it in Texas. So let's do real quickly, just setting up a proportion if we wanted to solve the problem versus a percent. So in this example, we have 200 students in the school, We want to know how many are boys. So we took a sample of 25 students and found out that 10 are boys. So 10 out of 25 equals X out of 200. Or as a percentage, 10 divided by 25 equals 40. There are 1,500 flowers in the garden. How many are roses? So we get a sample of 300 flowers and find that 20 of them are roses. So if we set up a proportion, 20 out of 300 equals X out of 1,500. Or just doing the percentage, 20 divided by 300 is 6%. We would multiply that by the total. Proportion, we have dogs in shelters, 8,250. That's my total population. How many are collies? I took a sample of 150 dogs, and 18 of them were collies. So I'll set up my proportion. 18 out of 150 are collies, which is X over my total population of 8,250. Or just get the percent. 18 divided by 150 is 12%. We'd multiply that by 8,250. So which is a better random sampling? 2 out of 100, 2 out of 10, or 200 out of 1,000? Well, obviously the 200 out of 1,000 is going to give you a better estimate. What strategies can you use to find information about the total? You can set it up as a proportion with your sample or as a percentage.